Hey guys, M.V.K here, coming to you again with a new Patreon request. Coming back to you with Tom Hibbert. We're going to do a crossover story that he requested me between the Red Hood, Jason Todd, and GTA. Now, he didn't specifically say which GTA series, so I decided to take the liberty of choosing my own. So this story will revolve around GTA 3, or in between GTA Liberty City Stories and GTA 3. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. So the story begins where the Colombian cartel is still on the verge of bringing in Spank the into the Leone family territory. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Which is run by the leader, the leader of the Leone family, Salvatore Leone, and many of Salvatore Leone's generals and captains, capos, have come to him with the news of Spank has been running wild and some of their boys are getting hooked on. Salvatore Leone orders his boys to take them out, take the cartel out, run them out of their neighborhoods by any means necessary. The Leone family is starting to really loathe this cartel, this new cartel that have been coming in to Liberty City without giving proper audience to the Leone family. They think they're alpha wolves. Hence, their leader is called El Lobo. However, on a drug run between many of the cartels and local drug dealers, each man begins to find bodies. Those bodies lead to a container, because this takes place on a shipping yard, and inside the container is filled with explosives. They see the explosives and they run. The container is destroyed, and off in the distance, one of the lone members of the cartel sees a figure walking towards him out of almost seeming like a demon rising up from the hell. This man is wearing all black. His face is covered, and one of the cartel member tries to attempt to reach for his gun, but his hand is shot. As the figure gets closer and closer, the cartel member gets scared. He starts to pray. The figure says, "Go on, pray. Let's see if he's listening." He's probably not, because you already know where you're going. As the cartel member continues to pray and pray, the figure picks him up. The cartel member begins to cry. This member, and the figure says to him, "Are you crying? I thought you cartel were strong, tough. I want you to get a message to your boss, El Lobo. Tell him that I'm coming. Tell him I'm going to continue to disrupt his shipment of spank. Run along. Oh, and one more deal. The figure shoots the man in his leg, and he says, now hobble back to your boss. Word gets back to the Leone family. Members of Salvatore Leone's family begins to hear word of a figure that has been destroying the shipments that the cartel have been bringing in of spank, which is drugs. Salvatore Leone wonders if he can trust this figure, or is he an enemy? Is he friend or foe? He asks one of his capos. And they tell him, we don't know, boss. Salvatore Leone says, find him. And just when they begin to exit, they start to hear commotion outside of, and right when they open the door, the figure walks in, carrying a body. He throws one body to the side. That member gets back up. He pulls out his gun, and the figure shoots him, pointing the blank right in the head. The figure says, now that I have your attention, Salvatore, let's talk. Salvatore Leone says, somebody shoot this motherfucker. And right before the figure pulls out a detonator and says, I wouldn't do that if I were you. See, I came to talk for now. But if you want to make it quick, we all can die. All the men, Salvatore Leone tell his men to drop their weapons. The figure says to Salvatore, we need to talk, Salvatore. I came to Liberty City for a reason. Start over. See, I came from a city that was similar to this place. But that place has somewhat of a bat infestation. Salvatore continues to stare at the figure until one of Salvatore's capos say, who the hell are you? The figure turns to that one man, walks up to him and says, you didn't say please. Salvatore says, please, who are you? The figure says, who I am is not your concern. But if you must know who is underneath this mask, you're never going to know. I'm going to be a thorn in the cartel's side. Now, we could either be friends or we can be enemies. Which one do you want, Salvatore? Salvatore Leone says, I'll bite friend. The figure says, good choice. In the end, the figure says, I do have a name, Salvatore, and you'll know it very soon. I'm known as the Red Hood. One of Salvatore's men begins to laugh. The Red Hood turns around again to the same gentleman that asked him the question who he was. Jason walks up and throws a right hook that knocks the man down. Red Hood turns around and says, when he wakes up, tell him never to laugh at me. Never laugh at my name. I'm going to clean up Liberty City. The cartel is selling this crap to kids, to anybody they can get hooked on this drug. And once I take out their operation, I'll be running their cartel. Do you know where El Lobo is? Salvador says, I don't know. No one does. He's like an elusive man. Red Hood says, no problem. He begins to walk out of Salvador's home. He turns once again back to Salvador and says, just remember the deal, Salvador. I stay out of your business. You stay out of mine. You don't sell drugs. And we'll be just fine. Salvador says, we don't sell drugs. And any one of my men that get hooked on it, they answer to me. The Red Hood turns around and said, we'll see. The Red Hood begins to continue to disrupt the cartel's operation everywhere, from the south side to the east side to the west side of Liberty City. And in doing so, his reputation begins to put fear in other drug operations that the cartel, and word gets back to El Lobo, and his men begin to tell him he was a man. He looked like the devil. He fought like the devil. El Lobo is getting completely annihilated. All his factions, all his operations continuing to be destroyed. So much that El Lobo starts to wonder if there's someone in his operation that is helping this Red Hood. Little did he know that the one man that the Red Hood let go, the Hood placed a bug on his jacket. So Red Hood has been listening in to all the operations, every location, one by one. Red Hood begins to topple the Spank operation. Word gets back to Salvador about the operations continuing to be destroyed. Many of Leone's men say they don't trust the Red Hood, and he shouldn't either. Boss, you shouldn't trust him. Boss, you shouldn't trust him. He'll turn on us. And Salvador, as a smart man that he is, he feels the same way. So he decides to have his men keep tabs on Red Hood as best he could. The Red Hood doesn't stay in one place in Liberty City. You see, before he started his operations in the city, he came earlier and really did some digging to see where he could set up bases, plants everywhere, so they would never be able to find him. And while the Leone family thinks they are keeping tabs on the Red Hood, He knows they're watching because that detonator that he once used was not a detonator. It was a device to keep track of the Leone family as he set up many bugs in the Leone house. So Jason knew that he was being double-crossed. Eventually, Jason is able to meet the head of the Cologne cartel, El Lobo. El Lobo was a giant of a man. Long black hair, scar down his right cheek, and one dead eye. On this operation, El Lobo makes himself in person to make sure this location is complete. However, once again, the Red Hood was just 2 steps ahead of him. He kills the buyer of this bank, and he puts a bullet in the informant that he was using. His job was done. He starts to herd El Lobo into an area. And once he herds El Lobo into the area that he was guiding him into, he set the trap. El Lobo was trapped. The Red Hood appears out of the shadows. El Lobo, finally we meet. El Lobo speaks no English, so Jason speaks to him in Spanish. El Lobo tries to buy his way out of the situation, buys time, hoping his men will get there. But little did he know, the men that were supposed to get there were being killed by the Leone family. Once El Lobo's confidence was high, believing his men were coming, he found out that they weren't. So now El Lobo must fight for his own. Jason throws down his guns to give El Lobo a fighting chance. However, he didn't trust El Lobo because El Lobo pulls out a 12-inch Bowie knife from his jacket, from behind him, and says in Spanish, "I'm going to cut you. You will bleed like a pig." So Jason pulls out a knife himself, and we get a good old-fashioned knife fight between the two. El Lobo was good with a knife, and he was quick. He caught Jason pretty good many times. Jason was a little too overconfident. Didn't expect a man who was 6'7" and over 200 pounds to be very agile and quick. But eventually, Jason started to get the upper hand. And by the time the fight went on, El Lobo began to whimper. Stamina draining. His size was great, but it also was his greatest weakness as well. At the end, it took just one critical moment for Jason to get the upper hand. Jason asks El Lobo, "What do you see when you look at me?" And right before El Lobo is going to say, Jason plunges his knife deep into El Lobo's heart. Eventually, the big, giant leader of the cartel falls to his death. The men of El Lobo who were left witness. Jason turns around and tells the cartel, "I'm your leader now. You will do what I say." And just when those men were going to reply, they are gunned down by the Leone family. They come out and hold all pointed guns at Jason. One of Salvador Leone's loyal captains say, "Salvador sends his regards." He decided to not take the deal. Jason replies, "Oh, I knew he would. You didn't get where he was in power by being honest." Jason hits a button and the area goes black. While everybody is in commotion, Jason activates a night vision in his helmet and begins taking out every member. He gets back. He uses the last member's phone. He calls Salvador. And he tells that man to say exactly what I tell you to say, or I'll kill you. He tells the man to say, "He's dead, sir." Salvador laughs and says, "If he wasn't a bastard, we probably could have been a good partnership." Over time, Salvador lets his guard down. Days go by, and he thinks the Red Hood is gone. And eventually, one night, Salvador is lying in bed. And soon enough, he wakes up, and Jason is standing over him with a .44 right at his head. Salvador pleads, and just when Jason is about to pull the trigger, a batarang flies through the bedroom, flinging the gun to the wall. The figure comes through the "I knew you'd come. Jason, we need to talk." The end. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. That was a little short story that I put together for a crossover between Red Hood and GTA. I used GTA 3, not 4 or 5. I wanted to base it in Liberty City. So I used Liberty City. More importantly, I was never going to kill Salvatore Leone because he does die, but I was not going to have Jason kill him. The concept of El Lobo was another thing I just came up with in terms of using the cartel, because the cartel did play a big factor in GTA 3, if you remember. That's what the Leone family was dealing with. And the player that you play as in that game, Claude, who is the silent player, was dealing with them. This was fun. I want to thank Tim for this. This was a lot of fun to cross over with. As you all know, if you are not familiar, Tim is one of my alpha tier members. And at that level, again, guys, you can ask for me to create 4 videos. Didn't matter what it is, and I do it. This is the second of Tim's requests, and I got 2 more. But I told you guys, since he was the first to request videos for 2025, I would always come back to him. Guys, be here next time for another Patreon request. I hope you enjoyed this style of audio crossovers. Next time, maybe I'll really go deep in terms of doing voices, like real voices. I was going to do it. But even though Jason is not my favorite, I hope most people understand this is something Jason would do. He would cripple whatever competition, and he wouldn't be selling drugs to kids either. Spank was the drug that was in GTA 3. Once again, if you remember, probably a lot of people don't remember, but I do. It was fun. Thank you, Tom. I will get back to your next 2 requests later on. Another one that you have is really cool that I look forward to probably doing down the line. And I'm looking forward to doing the other requests that you have. Anime versus game stories, Nightmare versus Inuyasha. I look forward to doing that. And also the story idea of a story called Rurouni Kenshin, The Blood Ronin. I'm looking forward to that. But once again, guys, I hope you guys enjoy. I will see you guys next time. I will be away for a while, for a week or so. I'm going on my trip. So there will not be as many videos coming out this week. I'm going to upload as many as I can so you can watch. But whatever is up, that's going to be it, because I will be on my trip this week. And I will see you guys next time. Take care, guys.